This is the story of a woman named Crystal, a 50-year-old teacher from Colorado, whose ordinary life took an extraordinary turn. One moment, she was driving home from a weekend retreat in the mountains. The next, she found herself crossing into another realm after a near-fatal car accident. What she experienced on the other side was beyond anything she could have imagined. Crystal claims she encountered beings from another world. Intelligent, luminous entities who delivered an urgent message for humanity. What they revealed about Earth's future and humanity's potential left her shaken but determined to spread their warning before it's too late. Crystal's day started out like any other. She was returning home from a quiet weekend retreat in the Colorado Rockies, where she had spent time journaling, meditating, and enjoying nature. Crystal loved the mountains. They gave her a sense of peace and clarity, a welcome break from the fast-paced demands of her life as a middle school teacher. She spent her days teaching science and loved inspiring her students, but the constant pressure of grading papers and managing a classroom often left her drained. On this particular Sunday, the air was crisp and the sky impossibly blue. Crystal hummed along to her favorite playlist as her car navigated the winding roads down the mountain. She was thinking about her upcoming lesson plans and how she could teach her students about sustainability, a topic close to her heart. What she didn't know was that her life was about to take a drastic and unimaginable turn. As Crystal approached a sharp curve, a sudden patch of black ice sent her car skidding out of control. Everything happened in an instant. The vehicle spun, veering toward the edge of the road. Crystal's hands gripped the steering wheel, but there was nothing she could do. Her car broke through the guardrail and tumbled down the steep embankment. The last thing Crystal remembered before losing consciousness was the deafening sound of metal crunching against rock and the terrifying weightlessness of the fall. Then, everything went dark. When Crystal opened her eyes, she wasn't in her car anymore. At first, she thought she was dreaming. But this was unlike any dream she had ever experienced. She found herself floating in a vast, radiant space filled with soft, pulsating light. The colors shifted and danced, blending hues of gold, blue, and white. There was no ground beneath her feet, no sky above, just an infinite expanse of glowing energy. Strangely, she felt no fear. Instead, there was an overwhelming sense of peace and clarity, as if she had stepped into a realm where all her earthly worries had melted away. Her physical body felt distant, almost irrelevant, as if she had left it behind. She couldn't feel the pain from the crash, or even the panic of the moments before. In this place, she felt weightless and free. As Crystal took in her surroundings, she noticed a subtle hum in the air, like a song without words. It wasn't just a sound. It resonated within her, filling her with a sense of connection to everything around her. She didn't know how long she had been there. Time seemed to stretch and bend in ways that didn't make sense. Then, she noticed something extraordinary. In the distance, figures began to emerge from the light. They were humanoid in shape, but unlike anything she had seen before. Their bodies were luminous, glowing with an inner light that seemed to pulse with intelligence and warmth. They moved gracefully, as if they were gliding rather than walking, and though they had no mouths, Crystal could hear them speak, not in words, but in thoughts that flowed directly into her mind. "Welcome," one of them communicated. "Do not be afraid. We have been waiting for you." Crystal was captivated by these beings. Their presence wasn't threatening. Instead, it was deeply comforting, as if she were in the company of wise ancient friends. Each being radiated an energy that felt both powerful and gentle, as if they carried the weight of endless knowledge, but wielded it with compassion. One of the beings stepped forward, its light brighter than the others. Crystal instinctively understood that this was their leader or spokesperson. Without words, it conveyed a message that resonated deeply within her. "We are not from your world," it said, its voice like a melody in her mind. "We come from a place far beyond what you can comprehend, but we are connected to you in ways that transcend time and space." Crystal's mind raced with questions, but the being seemed to anticipate them before she could form the words. "We have been watching your species for a long time," it explained. "You are at a critical juncture in your development, and we are here to guide you." Crystal felt a wave of humility wash over her. She wasn't sure why they had chosen her of all people, a middle-aged teacher from a small Colorado town, but the being's next words gave her clarity. "You have a heart that understands connection. That is why you are here." Crystal couldn't believe what she was hearing. She was just an ordinary woman, not a scientist or a world leader. Why would these beings choose her to receive such an important message? The answer came swiftly, as if the being had read her thoughts. "It is not about status or power," the being said. "It is about your ability to listen, to teach, and to inspire others to see the world differently. You are a bridge, a messenger." Crystal thought about her life, her love of teaching, and her passion for protecting the environment. It made sense, in a way. She had always felt a deep connection to the earth, and a responsibility to help others understand its importance. Now it seemed that connection had drawn the attention of these otherworldly beings. "We have a message for your kind," the being continued. "It is urgent, and it must be shared." The being's tone grew serious as it delivered the message that would change Crystal's life forever. "Your planet is at a crossroads," it said. "The choices you make now will determine the fate of your world for generations to come." The being explained that humanity had reached a point where its actions were causing irreversible harm to the earth. Pollution, deforestation, and climate change were pushing the planet to its limits. "Your species has great potential," it said, "but you are squandering it through division and neglect." The message wasn't just a warning. It was a call to action. The being urged Crystal to share what she had seen and heard, to inspire others to take responsibility for their actions and work together to protect the planet. "The future is not written," it said, "but it is fragile. Unity, compassion, and wisdom are your only paths forward." The being surrounded Crystal with light as they revealed visions of two possible futures for Earth. The first vision was breathtaking. A harmonious, flourishing world. Crystal saw clean rivers, lush forests, and thriving communities living in balance with nature. People worked together to solve problems, using technology responsibly to restore the planet. The air was clean, the oceans sparkled, and children played freely in a world full of hope and opportunity. "This is what humanity is capable of," one being communicated, its tone full of encouragement. "It is a future that is within your grasp if you choose it." But then, the light shifted, and the scene darkened. The second vision was devastating. Crystal saw barren landscapes, forests reduced to ash, and oceans polluted with waste. The air was thick with smog, and animals struggled to survive in a world that seemed to be dying. Cities were overcrowded, filled with desperation and conflict. People argued and fought over dwindling resources, and a deep sense of hopelessness pervaded every corner of the vision. "This is what awaits if you continue on your current path," the being said. Crystal felt a chill run through her as the stark contrast between the two futures became clear. The choice was humanity's to make, but the urgency was undeniable. "You are at the tipping point," the being continued. "The actions of your generation will determine which future becomes your reality." Crystal wanted to look away from the darker vision, but the beings gently reminded her that ignoring the truth would not make it disappear. They showed her the fragile balance of Earth's ecosystems and how even small positive changes could ripple outward, transforming the future. "Hope is not lost," they reassured her, "but you must act now." The beings delved deeper into humanity's impact on the planet. They revealed the delicate interconnectedness of Earth's ecosystems, explaining how every action, whether planting a tree or cutting one down, has consequences. Crystal saw images of industrial pollution pouring into rivers, forests being leveled for development, and wildlife habitats disappearing at an alarming rate. "This is not sustainable," the beings warned. "Your planet is resilient, but it is not infinite. The Earth can heal, but only if you allow it." They showed Crystal the importance of biodiversity, highlighting the intricate relationships between plants, animals, and humans. Without balance, ecosystems collapse, leading to famine, disease, and unrest. Crystal felt a deep sense of responsibility as she watched these images. She had always cared about the environment, but this was a stark reminder that the stakes were much higher than she had realized. The beams also offered solutions. They showed Crystal scenes of regenerative farming, renewable energy, and conservation efforts that had already made a difference. They emphasized that change was possible, but it required global cooperation and a commitment to long-term thinking. Your planet is not beyond saving, they said, but every moment counts. The beings then shifted their focus to humanity itself. They showed Crystal how division and conflict were holding people back from solving the world's greatest challenges. Images of wars, protests, and political infighting played before her, each one a painful reminder of how fractured the world had become. "You are one species," the beings said, their voices filled with both sadness and hope. "But you have forgotten your unity." Crystal saw scenes of people coming together in times of crisis, neighbors helping each other after natural disasters, strangers donating time and resources to rebuild communities. These moments of unity shone like beacons of light in the darkness, proving that humanity was capable of extraordinary compassion and collaboration. The beings emphasized that unity didn't mean erasing differences. Instead, it was about embracing diversity and recognizing that everyone has a role to play. Strength lies in collaboration, not competition, they explained. Your differences are not weaknesses. They are your greatest asset. Crystal felt an overwhelming desire to bring people together. She realized that the divisions she saw weren't insurmountable. They were simply barriers that needed to be broken down with empathy and understanding. The beings turned their attention to technology, describing it as one of humanity's most powerful tools and one of its greatest dangers. Crystal saw images of incredible technological advancements, clean energy solutions, medical breakthroughs, and tools that made life easier and more connected. But she also saw the darker side: factories polluting the environment, devices isolating people from one another, and innovations being weaponized for harm. Technology is neutral, the beings said. Its impact depends on how you choose to use it. They urged humanity to approach technology with wisdom and responsibility. They showed Crystal how technology could be a force for good, enabling global communication, education, and solutions to environmental challenges. But they also warned that unchecked greed and short-sightedness could turn those same tools into instruments of destruction. Crystal was reminded of her students, many of whom were fascinated by science and innovation. She felt a renewed sense of purpose to teach them not just how technology works, but how to use it ethically and thoughtfully. The being's message was clear: technology should serve humanity, not control it. Finally, the beings revealed humanity's untapped potential. They explained that humans possess an extraordinary capacity for love, creativity, and spiritual growth, but these qualities are often overshadowed by fear and self-interest. Crystal saw images of people meditating, creating art, and performing acts of kindness, each moment radiating a sense of joy and fulfillment. "You are more powerful than you realize," the being said, "but you must look inward to unlock your true potential." They emphasized the importance of balance between mind and heart, progress and preservation, individuality and community. They explained that spiritual growth wasn't about religion or doctrine. It was about recognizing the interconnectedness of all life and living in harmony with that understanding. Crystal felt a deep sense of peace as the beings shared this message. She realized that the future wasn't just about solving external problems. It was about healing the human spirit. "The answers you seek are already within you," the being said. "Trust in your ability to grow." The beings then focused on one of humanity's most profound strengths: empathy. They explained to Crystal that the ability to understand and share the feelings of others is humanity's greatest gift, and one that is often underutilized. Empathy is the bridge between division and unity, they said. It is the foundation of all meaningful change. Crystal was shown scenes of people acting out of empathy and compassion. She saw volunteers helping disaster-stricken communities, strangers comforting one another during times of loss, and individuals sacrificing their own comfort to assist someone in need. These moments radiated a light that seemed to push back the darkness of conflict and division. However, the beings also showed her the consequences of a lack of empathy: loneliness, misunderstandings, and cycles of harm that could have been avoided if people had taken the time to see the world through someone else's eyes. When empathy is absent, fear and anger take its place, they said. The message resonated deeply with Crystal. She realized that empathy wasn't just a passive feeling, it was a call to action. It meant stepping outside of your own perspective to truly understand the struggles and dreams of others. Start small. The beings encouraged her. Every act of compassion creates ripples that can transform the world. As hopeful as the visions were, the beings made it clear that progress wasn't guaranteed. They showed Crystal what could happen if humanity ignored the warnings and allowed complacency to take root. The scenes were stark. People turning a blind eye to injustice, neglecting their responsibility to the planet, and retreating into apathy. Complacency is the greatest danger, the beings warned. It is not enough to hope for change. You must actively create it. Crystal saw scenes of people becoming so consumed by their daily routines that they forgot the bigger picture. Efforts to heal the environment slowed, divisions deepened, and opportunities for collaboration were lost. The beings explained that complacency wasn't always intentional. It often stemmed from exhaustion, fear, or the belief that one person couldn't make a difference. But they also showed her how to overcome it. Crystal saw communities reigniting their passion for change by reconnecting with their purpose. She saw individuals inspiring others by leading through example, proving that even small actions could spark momentum. You must remember, the being said, that the future is shaped by what you do today. One of the most uplifting parts of the being's message was their vision of global collaboration. Crystal saw a world where nations put aside their differences to work together on shared challenges. It wasn't a utopia. There were still disagreements and struggles, but the willingness to cooperate outweighed the conflicts. She saw leaders from different countries coming together to address climate change, sharing resources and technologies to protect the planet. Farmers exchanged sustainable practices, scientists collaborated across borders, and communities united to restore damaged ecosystems. The Earth belongs to all of you, the being said. It will thrive only if you treat it as a shared home. The vision extended beyond governments and institutions. Crystal saw ordinary people building connections across cultures, learning from one another, and finding common ground despite their differences. She felt a sense of hope as she watched children from different countries playing together, their laughter a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it worked as one. The beings emphasized that global collaboration wasn't just about solving problems. It was about building relationships and creating a sense of unity that transcended borders. You are stronger together than you could ever be apart, they said. The beings had specific messages for humanity's leaders and innovators. They stressed the importance of ethical decision-making and the need to prioritize the well-being of people and the planet over personal gain. Leadership is not about power, they said. It is about responsibility. Crystal saw scenes of leaders making choices that prioritized long-term benefits over short-term profits. Politicians implemented policies that protected the environment and supported vulnerable populations. Business leaders shifted their focus to sustainability, creating products and systems that benefited communities instead of exploiting them. Innovators developed technologies designed to heal, not harm. The beings also addressed the importance of transparency and accountability. Leaders must listen to the voices of the people, they said. True progress is built on trust, not control. Crystal felt a renewed sense of urgency to share this message, knowing that change often starts at the top, but requires the support of those below. Leaders set the tone. The beings told her, but every person has a role in holding them accountable and contributing to the vision. The final lesson the beings shared was about love, not romantic love, but a universal force that connects all living things. Love is the highest vibration, they said. It is the energy that binds the universe together. Crystal saw love in its purest form, expressed through kindness, generosity, and selflessness. She watched as people cared for one another, not out of obligation, but because they recognized their shared humanity. Parents teaching their children, neighbors supporting each other, strangers extending a helping hand. All of these acts radiated a light that seemed to push back the darkness. The beings explained that love was humanity's greatest tool for transformation. When you act with love, you align with the universe's natural state, they said. It is the key to healing your planet and yourselves. Crystal felt a profound shift within her. She realized that love wasn't just an emotion, it was a way of being. It meant choosing compassion over judgment, connection over isolation, and hope over fear. As the being's light surrounded her, she felt a deep sense of purpose. She knew that sharing this message of love would be her life's mission moving forward. The being's final message echoed in Crystal's mind. You must return. Your work on Earth is not finished. At that moment, Crystal felt a powerful pull, as if she were being drawn backward through the radiant light and the infinite expanse. She didn't want to leave the warmth, peace, and clarity she had experienced, but she knew deep down that her journey wasn't over. Suddenly, she felt a jolt, like falling into her body from a great height. Her senses returned all at once. The cold air, the distant sound of sirens, and the sharp pain radiating through her body. Crystal opened her eyes to find herself lying in the wreckage of her car. Rescue workers were frantically working to free her, their voices filled with urgency. She was rushed to the hospital, her body battered but alive. Doctors marveled at her survival, calling it a miracle given the severity of the crash. But Crystal knew that what she had experienced wasn't just a brush with death. It was a glimpse into something far greater. As she recovered in the hospital, she couldn't stop thinking about the being's message. The visions were as clear as if she had seen them moments ago, and the weight of what she had been tasked with filled her with a sense of purpose she had never felt before. She knew she had to share what she had learned, no matter how extraordinary it sounded. Crystal's life was forever changed after her near-death experience. The woman who had been focused on her daily routines and personal struggles was now filled with a deep sense of mission. She couldn't ignore what she had seen and heard. It was as if the being's words were etched into her soul. She began by reflecting on her own habits and beliefs. The beings had shown her the importance of empathy, unity, and love, and she realized that these principles had to start with her. Crystal made a conscious effort to be more patient and understanding, both with herself and with others. She reached out to people she had drifted apart from, mending relationships and building new connections. Crystal's teaching also transformed. She began incorporating the lessons from her experience into her classroom, encouraging her students to think critically about their impact on the environment and the importance of kindness. She started leading community workshops on sustainability and empathy, sharing practical steps people could take to make a difference. Her story began to spread. Friends, family, and even strangers were captivated by her account of the being's message. Some were skeptical, but many were inspired. Crystal didn't claim to have all the answers, but she spoke with a sincerity that touched people's hearts. "This isn't about me," she would say. "It's about all of us. We have the power to create a better world." Crystal began to see the ripple effects of the being's message in her community. Inspired by her story, local groups started initiatives to clean up parks, plant trees, and reduce waste. Schools introduced programs on environmental stewardship and empathy, teaching children the values Crystal had shared. Crystal herself became deeply involved in these efforts. She organized workshops on sustainability, bringing together people from different backgrounds to learn and collaborate. She worked with local leaders to implement greener practices in businesses and public spaces, proving that even small changes could make a big difference. One of the most powerful moments came when Crystal led a community event where people shared their own stories of hope and transformation. It was a diverse group, young and old, from all walks of life, but they were united by a shared desire to create a better world. As Crystal listened to their stories, she felt the being's message.